Boy.
Oh my goodness. So how about this, We That Nation? We getting ready to do the show. And we like this. Getting ready to do the show. We fired up. 10 minutes before we recording. Now we like this. Oh my Lord. You want to tell them why? Tell people why.
Hey, the John Gruden situation blew up. He resigned / was fired. And, you know, let's do a quick review for some of our viewers who might not have been up on what happened or might not have understood the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So in an email, an email was revealed. So we know an insider was revealing this email that John Gruden.
He got some serious haters.
Yeah. John Gruden made some comments about DeMaurice Smith's lips being the size of Michelin tires.
Which is true, but he shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's hard to say that without it having racist overtones.
And it was.
And then the capes, people started donning their capes. They got their capes on so they could fly in, so they could save John Gruden.
Yeah, you know they do.
Hey, John Gruden doesn't have a racist bone in his body. I've never seen or dealt with him. And he's like,
I've heard that before.
Heard that before, right? And then you started saying, who was the black starting quarterback that John Gruden had? Because he's been in the league a long time. And at some point, you would have had to trip across an African-American quarterback. I called BS yesterday. And when you talk about the power of NFL players, which is the weakest union of all, I don't see how they played that game yesterday, that they got beat up and bullied around the field. And so everybody was like, Coach Gruden, he wasn't working for the NFL. He wasn't working for he was working for ESPN. So whoever the insider was like, that's all right. I got something more for you. And so today emails were revealed that John Gruden was making very negative LGBT comments, include using the Q word to describe the NFL being forced to draft Michael Sam, in his opinion. He also said some other negative slurs, gay derogatory slurs towards Roger Goodell. He also had derogatory comments about the female referees in the league.
Oh, mercy. He hit everybody.
And so when you say he didn't have a racist bone in his body, it seems like he had a whole prejudiced skeleton. And, again, the one that drew the most of my ire was, of course, Tony Dungy coming in with his cape. And let me give our controversial boy Drew Brees a compliment. He said, I ain't going to be on set for this.
Yeah.
I got enough problems on my own.
He said, fool me once.
Drew Brees was off camera. And then the Italian stallion, Mike Tirico, was also defensive of John Gruden. So I feel like they need to be called out because listen, if somebody, I love you to death, Ricardo. If somebody said they had some emails that you leaked some anti-LGBT or some racist towards white.
Yeah, you got to go. And you know what's funny, Jermaine? And I don't know, I shouldn't be thinking like this, but this is the first thing I'm always thinking. Why you guys got to email this stuff, man? Like, why are you typing this? What's going on? It's ridiculous. Like, what makes you comfortable enough to say all this? I don't know three people. Listen, I don't know three people I'd feel comfortable sharing that email with. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, the deal is, the real deal is, when you're talking to groups of people who are like-minded to you, you feel free to talk in a way that's. So if I am anti-LGBT and I'm around a group of LGBT, anti-LGBT, I'm gonna let it fire. But here's the problem. Here's what the problem is with diversity. The problem is you don't know who you're talking to you're talking to.
That's right.
I can tell you a personal experience real quick that happened to me in a hospital. HIPAA, whatever. Family got some people that unfortunately worked for me got on the elevator. They looked around. Family, no, it was just only other people in the elevator looked like them, and so they proceeded to start making some negative comments about a patient that included some racially derogatory comments. That family was the in-laws of the patient that they had no idea. So this is when I was in the military. So these guys got court-martialed.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, and so the point being, you're not all you racist and prejudiced people of all types. You're not safe.
You're not safe.
Whoever you think you're emailing, whoever you think you're texting, whoever you think you're doing, there's somebody that's going to be offended, and there's somebody that's an ally. Now, the fact that he felt so emboldened to share this with the same group that can't seem to find qualified people of color candidates, the same group that it's been time to have an offensive or defensive coordinator that is a woman or of LGBT status. I mean, I see these women that are working hard and they're hitting this glass ceiling. Like, you seeing these guys getting hired off of special teams to be head coaches. Then you have somebody who's an assistant receivers coach or who's an assistant linebackers coach that can't get promoted to be a offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. There is no way with the games and how hard these women are putting in at work, there's not a single woman that's a position coach, that not a single woman. Listen, besides Tampa Bay, who is conducting some kind of diversity hired experiment, they have a woman who is a prominent coach. And when I was looking for the coaching staff in Atlanta, I was looking for a woman, a LGBT woman, because the details, like when I see their coaching profiles, they're what I'm thinking about as far as the details. Instead of these retreads, these guys who have had their opportunity and blew it, and now Mike Nolan, we're going to hire you back to do this. So, Gruden, the heat for Gruden is going to be little because he's out of the league. That's it. You won't see him back on ESPN. You won't see him back in the league. But all those superheroes who came to cape for him, there needs to be a day of reckoning.
Hey, hold on, not so fair. Au contraire, mon frere. Here's what I bet you happens. I hope I'm wrong. He'll take a year off, and he'll be in Tennessee in 2 years. You watch. He'll be at the University of Tennessee 2 years from now. You watch.
Let's bookmark this show. I hope not. I hope not. But, if you're Tennessee, how could Tennessee beat you for a player of color or with these modern blended families if that's the case?
Same way they always beat you.
Tennessee ain't been beating nobody in quite a time.
That's true, but they got that Tennessee money is up there. I'm telling you.
Speaking of Tennessee and college football, it was a hell of a weekend. It was a hell of a weekend.
Yes, it was.
The new AP rankings are out, and guess who's at the top?
The team behind me.
The University of Georgia. University of Georgia. And some people from the University of Georgia fans were like, "Oh, I don't want that number one ranking. I don't want that pressure." Listen, it was coming no matter what.
Yeah.
You're going to have to accept it at some point. But let's look further down the rankings. Two things that I want to look at in the rankings that is relevant to us as SEC fans, as Georgia Bulldog fans.
Yeah.
Iowa is number 2. Hey, Arlene. That's my girl, coming from the state, the Sunshine State. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see, Stacey.
I agree, Stacey. So Iowa is number 2, right? But they're on a collision course with Ohio State, right? And so that can't be avoided. So in a sense now, that thing is going to work itself out, right? They're going to be favored in the rest of their games, the rest of the season. But Ohio State, I told everybody, don't count Ohio State out so quickly, right? So that's one thing to think about. The second thing to think about is Cincinnati at number 3. Sam here is anxious. Cincinnati won't play anybody the rest of the season. And so their toughest remaining game is against SMU.
Yeah.
So the barrier between a Power 5 and that berth into the thing is going to be SMU. Although I think when the official playoff rankings come out, I don't think Cincinnati is going to be number 3. They may be number 4 or number 5, right? And then the next thing is Oklahoma. They got the right quarterback in there. Spencer Rattler should be in the transfer portal right now. Why waste time? The top recruit in the nation brought them back. From down 28-7.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he looked real good and confident.
He looked real good.
Listen, if you thought it was like maybe a chance that that's not the case, when I seen that coach hug that boy like he was
and his wife,
and his wife hugged him too. I said he go.
Hey man,
that nigga go.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. He'll probably be in Florida or something and shit.
And then you get back to Alabama. Alabama is in the SEC championship game. You know why? Because they only have one loss, and there's nobody undefeated on that side. Ole Miss, they beat Ole Miss. Arkansas has 2 losses. LSU has 2 losses. Alabama is, regardless of wherever their ranking is, I have a feeling that they may be ranked in front of Cincinnati when the first real poll comes out. So that's one thing to watch out for. And then Ohio State. Ohio State is going to get Ohio State or Penn State. So they have a double elimination game, right? Because they have to play each other. Whoever plays it is out, and whoever wins that game gets a little boost, right? And then they're going to have to play Iowa. So those things will kind of figure themselves out. The next one is, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm not 100% sure. One thing that we've realized about Alabama and this college football season, I'm going to be honest, I had a couple of times. I really thought they would still be top 3. I don't think it's actually really going to matter because it's still October. We always expect Bama to roar back after a loss like this. I think the Bama team is actually limited, and they're lacking the kind of player leadership that they've had in the past. Now, I do agree that they'll most likely win out of their regular season, schedule still. But I got to tell you, that O-line is not Bama brand. And I'm telling you, I bet you your Alabama fans would attest to that. They don't look like Alabama.
Where's James Priest when we need him?
Yeah, well, he probably sleep. But I'm sure that O-line is not going to be good enough to take them beyond the season. I think Young is also – he's just young. He's very good. He's just not there yet.
And when that kick return, as we as Falcons fans know, I agree, Arlene, it was bad.
I know what you alluded to.
As we as Falcons fans know, it's hard to win a game in which you allow a kick return. It's just 3 points, and it just doesn't happen. And so when that was not the plays down the stretch, not taking away those plays, but that had a huge impact on them. Now here's where it gets interesting a little bit, because if you look at the polls, it feels like it's a little bit of anti-Big Ten bias. You say, what are you talking about as an SEC guy? Okay, we got Michigan undefeated at number 8. How does that make sense? And then we have Michigan State undefeated at number 10 at 6-0. Now, again, these teams have to play each other. And I'm already counting that those teams may find themselves losing to both Penn State and Ohio State. That's what my prediction is. But right now, they shouldn't be behind teams that have one loss. That's hard to justify. And Oregon is coming in, and Oregon is at number 9, which is going to be close to where they come in the real poll because their wins, the Pac-10, of course, the Pac-12 is cannibalizing themselves. So all good wins are not looking like good wins. Stanford beat Oregon and turned around and got blown out by Arizona State. It's just hard when we talk about SEC. Once that happens, you've got to be cheering for those teams to make those wins or those losses look better. And Oregon's loss doesn't look great. And so that's where we are in the top 10. It was a wild weekend all over. Georgia, how did Georgia look? Because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about that I want to see like outside the game that I saw with Georgia. What's your thoughts?
Well, okay. They're probably a little better than I thought they were. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Look who they're doing this with, man. Ladd McConkey, and I know I'm going to leave my co-star room to talk about Ladd because he's kind of shared some thoughts. That kid was a 3-star, and he's balling. I challenge you, and I'm a recruit Nick. I feel like, I'm brand A when it comes to recruiting information, particularly about my Georgia Bulldogs. But ain't nobody knew this Bowers kid was going to be that good. I mean, he's the real deal. Stetson, guys, there's like nobody on our regular season schedule that we can't beat with either quarterback. I would love to have him back, JT Daniels back by Florida, but we don't need him for Kentucky. I mean, he's good. He's really smart. He knows the system. He's got a rocket arm. He can make the throws. There was the first long pass to McConkey. I wasn't too crazy, but I was like, put a little more oomph on it. That would have been 6. You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But then he caught him again, and I mean, he put everything he had on that little midget. he put everything he had on the ball, and we got guys. I mean, both of our safeties were out, and we didn't miss a beat. Dan Jackson, a walk-on, and I mean, it's just we're loaded, and our best offensive player got hurt, our left tackle, and we still didn't miss a beat because what we did is we just put a 5-star left tackle, Broderick Jones, in there, and Jamari Sawyer. Let me tell you something. I don't know who will be the first offensive lineman taken in the draft in 2023, but 2022. But if you don't get if you can get Jamari Sawyer, you're getting a stud. He's actually a guard, and he's actually playing tackle better than most tackles in the entire league. So he's that good. So we're rolling. And as far as the game, I thought I literally I said to myself, I said, man, Auburn's putting on their best, their best ball, and we're whooping them. We were in control.
It's funny, Ricardo, like when as a hypercritical fan, you say, oh man, they let some passes get downfield. And then but if you watch the Arkansas and Mississippi and Ole Miss game and you see 52 and 51 points, the team that Georgia just allowed, the amount of plays that Georgia allowed, and that's how many deep passes that were in a quarter in that game. So we could be hypercritical. I think our defensive back play is improved. They only got a couple of throws, and there were some really good throws. And then overall, they still didn't pass for 200 yards. So that's one. The thing that we've never had a McConkey. We've never had a Ladd McConkey. And by that, I mean we tend to recruit receivers and athletes that end up playing receiver. I think Nicole Hardeman think Champ Bailey, think Mitchell, think those guys were 5-star athletes that actually played quarterback and other positions in high school that played receivers and, 4 and 5-star receivers. But we've never had that guy, that Hunter Renfrow guy, that Moore from Purdue guy, that slot receiver that that's hard to match up with because of his quickness and a football player. Lat McConkey, when you talk about, if Lat McConkey was 300 pounds, he would be an offensive lineman. If Lat McConkey was 6'3", he might be a tight end or a linebacker. He is a football player, and that it's a luxury that's not required to be a great team, but the best teams have that guy. Yeah. And so when you talk about comfortability and who's going to be my go-to guy on third down, that's what I see with McConkey. And as the wide receiver crew is getting healthy again, because they can't get more injured.
No, it's ridiculous right now.
I think Lat McConkey has earned that playing time.
He took somebody's spot.
And really, it goes to something that we talked about is, you talk about the top of the recruiting ranks, but what's my sweet spot and what I love to see is guys who were not 5 stars who end up becoming stars. And Georgia put a bunch of guys in the NFL draft last year who did that. They just have done a great job of developing guys that may have been under the radar. And I think Lat McConkey is the latest one to go along with several defensive linemen that are on there. We kind of focus on those 5 stars, but those 3 stars are kind of is that bonus that takes you to that next level.
Yep. I think I really appreciate your point about the fact that we got so many guys still out. I don't think Eric Gilbert, just so you guys know, he's got a lot of stuff going on outside of football. He'll probably never play it down for Red and Black, and he's our best pass receiver. He's that good. You know what? Lat McConkey might have something to say about that, I guess, right?
George Pickens might have something to say.
Bowers might have something to say about that. George Pickens. No, his catch rating. I measure. What I look for is the catch radius. His catch radius is sick. He's ridiculous. He's Kyle Pitts level, but neither here nor there. I can't prove it. I don't know if this young man's going to be able to play football anymore.
Right, but it looks like he's trying. That's the difference. Yeah. I think like when he got injured and we looked at the timeline, it was like, well, why would he risk it to play? And when I see him in workouts and I see him warming up before the game, he wants to play.
He's about George Pickens.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And if he wants to play, we can't keep him off the field. And even if he's not at 100% yet, you still gonna have to double cover him as long as he got that number 1 on and Pickens on the back of that jersey.
We still got Mookie Blaylock's son still hadn't played it down for us. Dominic Blaylock.
Yeah, he looks like he's getting closer.
Yeah. What's the kid from Florida? Marcus Thomas Rosemy, something to that effect. Yeah. He hasn't played yet.
He played a little bit. He played a little bit early on, but that AD Mitchell has kind of he again, like Browers, like next man up, and it has to be next man up. Oh, I'm just gonna hold on. Next man up. I'm stabbing out my place here in this offense.
Oh yeah, and I think you mentioned recruiting a second ago, how this affects recruiting. Man, I'm telling you, first of all, not just recruiting. You got to remember today's NCAA is a little different, so you need to think about the transfer portal. You know who I've been thinking about?
Who?
You remember James Williams, number 1 safety in the country, about 6'5", we ended up choosing the University of Miami over us. I bet you he's having second thoughts about the University of Georgia.
How is he? I didn't see him on the field in the 3 games that I saw.
Oh no. He's good, but they got Tyreek Stevenson. That's another conversation we can have too about guys that transferred from Georgia and is the best defensive player on their team. Tyreek Stevenson at the University of Miami.
Otis Reese at Mississippi.
Yep, at Mississippi. Jeremiah Johnson, or Jermaine Johnson at Florida State University. List goes on and on. We are churning them out but we can't play everybody,
Right.
You can either do like Wyatt, where you turn We understand, and look at Brini. Brini's waiting his turn, and now look at him.
Right. Yeah, Brini is going to the NFL. Definitely,
he's going to the NFL. He's going to get drafted. Chris Smith is too. He waited his turn. He waited 4 years.
Yeah,
and he was a 4-star. And that's what it is. That's what the Alabama standard was, and that's what it is at Georgia now. It's like, hey man, we can't promise you a spot, but you can make the 2-deep roster, wait your turn, play hard, and get you enough tape out, and then get you a ring, hopefully, because that's what we're playing for now. I think if Georgia, I'm super, what's jinx? I am about jinxes, so I'm not gonna go there too much, but I feel really, really, really good about our squad, and I'm just like, wow, we really might have the best team in the country right now. Now that and winning, I thought we had the best team in the country in 2016. So, you got to play the games. But I like what we're doing, and I love program, and I love serving.
And to your point, what I would say is we developed into the best team in the country in 2016. We weren't the best team in the country from game one.
That's a good point.
In 2016. So that's just the development and maturity of the program.
And speaking of development, that's owed in large part. So we might have the best offensive coordinator in the country. And our defensive coordinator, it's like pick your poison. Between Glenn Schumann and Lanning, and you got Kirby, and you got Wills Muschamp, we gonna always have defense. Will never be a problem at Georgia. It's just we got too much, coaching. But what Monken is doing, and I'm telling you guys, it's not just that the X's and O's. I mean, he's putting the guys in position to win. I'm telling you. He's making me a believer out of Stetson. I didn't want Stetson.
Hey, I was like, hey, we got to get JT Daniels back. But every game it's harder and harder to take Stetson off the field. It is
now, ladies and gentlemen, he's not saying that there's a quarterback controversy. Don't hear that. That's not what he's saying. He's just saying that Stetson's playing really well. So don't even start that. Any Georgia fan worth the salt knows that we need JT Daniels if we want to ultimate prize. But can we win most of the games on our schedule without him? Yeah, probably.
Well, I can tell you this: Stetson Bennett is better than that quarterback from Texas A&M.
Yeah. I think he's better than a lot of quarterbacks.
So think about that. You know who else played well this weekend?
Yeah,
Kentucky played very well.
They sure did.
And they blew LSU out. I saw a meme with Ed Orgeron morphing into Gene Chizik, and it couldn't be more true. Yeah, he is in over his head. He rode those coordinators to that great offense, and they got a championship.
He rode what? He did what?
He rode those coordinators to the championship.
Okay, bro.
Hey, man, I mean, if you saw the behind the scenes.
No, he did.
Listen, he wasn't doing anything. They were totally controlling the offense and the defense, and
he was on his way out then, if you remember.
Right. And they left, and then now you see the results. So it is a uncomfortable for our LSU fans who watch We That. Thank you. Jump in the comments. Have you had enough of Ed Orgeron, or are you want 4 more years? 4 more years. 4 more years. But Kentucky looked dominant against LSU, and so I don't think they'll be an easy opponent. They have the formula. They can run the ball. They have a better quarterback play than they've ever had, which is not saying a lot, but it's true. And they have a tough defense.
Well, they're well coached, bro.
They are.
Yeah, he's a great coach. I don't think he'll be in Kentucky much longer. I know that. I know that USC might be giving him a strong look-see. or maybe LSU for that matter. I know that. But there ain't no way he's going to be University of Kentucky.
He has made a lot of chicken salad up there at Kentucky, and he's finally paying the dividends because he's getting some chicken breast, some premium chicken breast in recruiting wise, and it is paying off. So I think this is going to be a tough physical game. Just looking at the look ahead line, too high for my taste. And I do think Georgia is the best team in the country. I do know that they're going to have to win a tough, grinded out game. And this might be it, because they are going to slow the game down like they did against Florida and try to get into a slugfest. So we are going to need to execute. The only challenge is they haven't seen a front like our front. Yeah. And as Auburn found out, if you think the way you're going to win is running on us, that's not going to be the right way.
Yeah, well, I said Kentucky has made strides in their improvement from week to week, and no doubt they have a surge of confidence after beating Florida, dominating LSU, but now they're going on the road.
It's a road game.
The number one team in the country. I mean,
and that crowd for that Arkansas game was insane.
And it's going to be insane again this week because we're back on CBS, and we're back on game day with ESPN. So it is the most hyped game of the day. We've looked dominant against everyone, with the only exception being a poor offensive showing in week 1 against Clemson. And when our defense is totally healthy, UGA. To be honest with you, we're still banged up a bit, but since we found a lot more success week to week while still missing some of the most valuable players on that side of the ball. I got Kentucky is going to have a very hard time moving the ball on UGA defense. They haven't played particularly well, actually, offensively, and they've largely benefited from their opponents shooting themselves in the foot. Tell you the truth, Florida had no business losing that game, and LSU, we see that now. They're just a bad football team. The margin for error against this defense is going to be 0. These guys will be able to make all the plays. Kentucky they're a good defensive team, like you say, but they're not even close to UGA's level. But they don't even recruit the same kids. So I think I saw Vegas had a line at 23-point favorite.
23.5, somewhere like that.
I'm not professor, but I would say this, and I was real hesitant when it was Arkansas. I was like, man, it should be a slobber knocker. I think that people think this will be a slobber knocker, but you got to understand, you got to have some semblance of a passing game to have a chance, and they do not. So
they have an improved quarterback. I see a result like 30-10, 28-10, a dominant performance, but 23.5 is a lot of points. Hey, what's going on, James? That's a lot of points against a quality team. I wouldn't be shocked if Georgia covers, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be I think it is going to be a slobber knocker in a sense, compared to where we have been. But like you alluded to, part of the problem is our offense is rolling now, and our offense is playing with way more confidence than we played with in game 1 against Clemson. Which whether it was because of whether it's because of JT Daniels' injury lingering or something else. But if we played Clemson again, we would beat them by 20-something.
Yeah.
The way our offense is running, rolling. We're rolling. The confidence, the play calling, the checks at the line. The offensive line has stepped up. They only had 42 yards at halftime and ran for 160 in the second half after Kirby challenged them. That was impressive because Auburn had the number 11 defense in college football. Don't lose sight of that. So
yeah. So what else we got, Professor?
Well, we'll talk about what we think about the slate coming up. We probably talked too much about the Kentucky, but I did want to give Kentucky their props. They were a good team. And Florida, they look mediocre against a Vanderbilt team. And
they ticked me off because they had to run a fake punt to run up the score against a team that they already was up 21-0.
Well, Dan Mullen is a bastion of class. So
yes, he is. That ticked me off. I called you. I think I called you like right after that.
Yeah.
He's so mad. He's just literally. I can't wait to mud stump those guys.
So going to the NFL, if you are watching Monday Night Football instead of watching our super duper show, you might as well turn it off. The Ravens have offense has been inconsistent all year, and it's coming to a head against a good Colts team that needed this game way more than the Ravens. But I think this is really, a distancing thing. The best team in the NFL is the Buffalo Bills.
Yep, and you called it at the beginning of the year.
And the second best team in the NFL is the Dallas Cowboys. No, but the Tampa Bay beat them. I'm not saying at the end of the season. I'm talking about this week, as of this week. The Rams beat the Seahawks, who lost Russell Wilson for 6 weeks. And we'll talk about that. That might have an impact on the Falcons because does that open up another playoff spot because the 49ers are sputtering. The Lions lost a heartbreaker in which their coach had a press conference that made your allergies act up. We made a lot of fun of Dan Campbell, but his passion is unmistakable. They scored with 37 seconds left, and Kirk Cousins is not known as a captain comeback, but they got in field goal position and kicked a long field goal at the end of that game. And it was just heartbreaking because the Lions did everything to win.
Yeah.
The Steelers beat the Broncos. That was an exciting game at the end. Teddy Two Gloves played terrible all game, but that fourth quarter he came to play. They outscored the Steelers 13-3 in that fourth quarter, and the game ended on the Steelers 5-yard line. They just could not connect on any the touchdown to try to time it up. What were our other results? So when you talk crap about Tom Brady, he's petty.
Yeah.
And the whole week it was like, there's nobody who has Tom Brady's number like Miami. And they were throwing all the way to the fourth quarter that they scored 21 points in. 45-17 drubbing.
And you don't think that's the second best team in the NFL? And I hate
I think they have. I think that from a consistency basis, they besides the Falcons, they haven't beat anybody by double digits until this game, and I mean I think it's very close between them and Dallas. Right
didn't
now,
they play Dallas? No, they didn't play. Did they play Dallas?
And then the Packers beat the Bengals in the field goal kickers nightmare game. They missed 3 extra points. They missed 3 extra points.
Yeah.
They missed between the two of them, the two kickers. They missed 4 field goals that could have won the game in the fourth quarter. And finally, in the overtime, barely before it was a tie, Mason Crosby hit a field goal after missing 3 in a row by himself. That was a crazy game. Kickers, oh man, heart attack. The Saints beat Washington up and down the field like I told you they would. The Eagles have brought, seems like Sam Darnold was coming back down to earth, which is a moment for me. Because for a second I was like, what if Carolina has that great defense, great coach, and Sam Darnold is for real? The Eagles made him look for fake. He was turning the ball over. He looked like the Jets Eagles. He looked like the Jets Darnold.
Yeah.
The Titans, the next guy up on the coaching firing block. Listen, Jaguars started off as good as you can start off.
Yeah.
They were up 13-7, and from that point, they got outscored 30-6. 30-6.
What? Urban Meyer is the only guy smiling right now about the John Gruden. He got me out the news.
Hey, they had a controversy there too because they had the ball at the end of the half, inside the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
And Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence,
yeah,
already had a rushing touchdown on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how many quarterback draws or quarterback sneaks they tried?
How many?
0.
Oh yeah.
So they got stuffed, and Urban Meyer said, "Well, I'm not. He's not comfortable." He didn't say. He said he's not comfortable running the quarterback sneak in the game. That's why we ran Carlos Hyde for a 6-yard loss on fourth and inches from the goal line.
And did you hear Trevor Lawrence's response to that?
And Trevor Lawrence said, "I'm very comfortable running the quarterback sneak." Hey man, it's over. It's over down there.
Openly dissing you like that?
Yeah.
You done. Especially Trevor Lawrence.
Hey.
That's like the last guy that will buck.
But now I have to defend him. Why would you say that, Urban Meyer? There's a million things you could have said. Hey, coach, why do you run a quarterback sneak? Well, we had success with that pitch play. We had, if you look and we had gotten that 2nd and 3 with that. Whatever. Don't say the quarterback is not comfortable running it, even if it's true. That was a throw under the bus moment. And guess what? You're not dealing with college kids. They got a brand to protect, and they're not going to be like, "I'm gonna shut up and not say the truth." He told the truth. The Patriots came back from a long way to beat the Texans. Didn't cover. The Patriots are not good. The Texans dominated that game, and the Patriots came back. The Browns and the Chargers was the game of the day.
Oh,
it was so exciting.
I was so
to go back and forth. Everybody knows that my quarterback man crush is Herbert. I wouldn't take anybody before Herbert. Because those strong arm guys don't usually play in control. Yeah. To have an arm that strong and have the mobility that he has, but not to try to show off his arm every time he can.
Yeah.
You can't coach that.
Well, I tell you what. Did you hear? And I saw it. I saw this part. Did you hear what they said? Your boy said about his left tackle, Rashawn Slater. He said Slater was like, "Nah, let's not ship Myles Garrett. Let me handle him. I feel like I don't need it, and I work better by myself," which he did.
He shut Myles Garrett down after that. He shut Myles Garrett down after that. So it was an impressive display all around. You had the Bears beating the listless Raiders, which in light of the news that was revealed last night, good riddance. You had the Cowboys all over the Giants. They just look good, man. I'm not saying Zeke is back, but Zeke looked good.
It's the Giants, man. First of all, it's the Giants. Don't be like them, bro.
Okay.
It's the Giants.
Okay. Don't.
And it's the B squad.
Brother, you can't let your pre-existing prejudice against the teams not allow you to give them. Dallas looks good. Kadarius Toney, he went off on the field, on the bench, and in the field of play. He got into a fight with our former player KZ, got kicked out of the game. He headbutted the trainer, but in between that, he caught 10 for 189, and he looked unstoppable. Which begs the question: where has he been these other five weeks? He hasn't got more than 5 snaps. That's bad coaching. That's bad coaching. The Cardinals beat the 49ers in a game that the 49ers defense was played their butts off. They were all over Kyler Murray. Trey Lance in his first start looked like a quarterback in his first start. He had some flashes of positives, but overall he wasn't. He wasn't great. And the same with Justin Fields for the Bears. We saw Fields. We saw Fields. We saw Wilson up close. We saw and we also saw Trey Lance. Matt Ryan. Mark Sanchez said this is Matt Ryan's fault. Matt Ryan came in and he played so good his rookie year. They were like, we don't need to put him on the bench anymore. These guys all should be splitting starts and carries. It's going to play off in the long run, but right now they're overwhelmed by NFL defenses. And we'll talk about a little bit our game. The game of the Sunday night game last night, the Bills beat the Chiefs 38-20. It was worse than that.
It was way worse than that.
It was way worse than that. And
at home.
At home. And I said the Bills built their team to beat the Chiefs. Now the onus is on the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense has surpassed the Falcons in all statistics to be the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL. They have the worst defense in the NFL. And whether it was the Super Bowl or in some of the games this year, it feels like Patrick Mahomes adds pressure to himself when the defense is not performing because he did not play well at all.
Yeah.
At all. But let's talk about our Falcons. We went over to London. We had the early game, so that means all eyes in the whole NFL were on us, and we look good. We look good. I have to give credit to the writer on Twitter. This is not my original quote. She said, I always said this Falcons team was going to be a work in progress, and I'm seeing the progress. And if and we can be some of the most critical fans, and I'm trying to. I know I'm committing a sin by looking away, but I want to properly credit her. But if you can't see the progress, I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah, and the offensive line, starting at that
offensive line, 0 sacks yesterday.
Zero. Had time.
He had time, and boy, if you're a longtime Falcons fan, you know when Matt is starting to feel comfortable and that light clicks on.
Second and third reads.
The last 2 games, even with special teamers playing wide receiver, he has looked very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
He has been getting that ball out. He's been decisive with his reads. He hasn't thrown into coverage one time. He threw deep. We know his limitations with throwing deep, but that was a good deep shot. He doesn't have the arm anymore to take risky deep shots, but he took a great deep shot. Kyle Pitts had his breakout game. And so even without Calvin Ridley, the Falcons look very competent on offense. The defense played very well. Don't be fooled by the final score with the Jets scoring 20, because part of that was a long kickoff return, our special teams. That's the only area that I don't see that progress coming as fast. Dustin Colquitt came in. He did a horrible job. He had a 24-yard punt. Then he had a punt from midfield that was fielded at the 11. When I'm putting from midfield, I really want to be inside the 7. I really like it. If you can't get it, if I'm punting from midfield and you don't get it inside the 7, you just went against what I did. We had a ton of drops, a bunch of turnovers, but in the end, it just was great to see them playing better. You see the offensive line player. You see Matt playing at an elite level. He had a 90 PFF score to follow up a high 80s PFF score last week. He looked really good and really comfortable. What did you see in the game?
Well, I will say I co-sign everything you said, but one of the things that's hard, and I did share this in our phone call earlier today, that we could have had a 3-game win streak, man. It's hard,
I know,
Yeah.
and that's hard, but let's just listen. What we wanted was to see progress, and perhaps if that strategy of running the ball with a 2-point lead out of work, maybe that becomes our strategy.
MO, yeah.
But he was very aggressive because the momentum had swung towards the Jets with a pass interference call that AJ Terrell, who's been playing at an elite level, the number 1 ranked second-year cornerback in the league.
Yeah.
He's only had 3 completions on him. He got his head around a little too late, and that's something that he needs to work on to convert some of those breakups into interception. But that gave him the ball at the goal line. So the momentum was changing. We got the ball back, and we marched down the field aggressively, and that was impressive. And I feel like directly connected to the mistakes that he made last week.
And, we did all this without Calvin Ridley. And I thought, boy, we were in trouble going over the pond, playing. It's regular time there, but it takes a couple days, I imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
To be able to fight through all that, and I know it's the JETS Jets, but they're NFL players too. You know what I'm saying? They have NFL talent too, NFL caliber talent too. I actually like some things I saw, even though despite their weakness, I actually think Wilson's not. I was like, man, he doesn't have a lot to work with. He made some throws. I was like, okay, I can see how. And I think you were actually on Wilson. You said that Wilson.
I said. Listen, Wilson has the moxie and the arm talent.
He does.
Again, it would be better if they had a veteran quarterback in there helping coach him up.
He's not ready.
Maybe taking some of those snaps. Maybe doing that split thing. But they've dumped it all on him, and that wasn't great to see. But I don't. Some people were dumping on him. He did fine. The Falcons defense was forced to play some youngins. We talked about the tap on the shoulder that the front office needed to say, and so we did see some of it. Not quite to the level JTM Jacob Mariner. He played well in the snaps he played, but he only got 8. AO, he played very well and got a snap, got a sack, but he only played 15 snaps. So we slowly getting there. Michael Walker didn't get any snaps yesterday.
Yeah,
I think he's a guy with a lot of potential. But the secondary guys, Richie Grant in limited snaps again, played well. Jalen Hawkins, who I really like. I liked him out of the draft. And I thought he came along last year. I think that's your starter. Eric Harris and Deron Harmon are great NFL veterans to back up, to come in a 3 safety. But we got to turn it over to these guys sooner than later, because that's the only way they're going to get better.
Yeah. Well, we got some good young talent. I actually think that we got some nice pieces. You know me, Jameen. I'm always looking at the big picture. And so I'm trying to figure out where we're at, because I feel like, okay, the schedule's working in our favor. We got a couple other games coming up shortly that, hey, these are winnable games. So I like what I saw in London, and I kind of want to keep it there. What do you see with us in the future? Do you feel good about us where we're at as far as that term progress? Do you see us progressing as a unit? I know Matt Ryan did well.
I see progress. I still see some special teams weakness. We still don't get after the quarterback too hot, but the guys who do get off the quarterback are still on the bench playing 15 and 8 snaps. Fowler is having a great year. He playing the run well. He's getting quarterback hits and applying pressure. So I do see the progress. I do see progress. And 2-3 is not a bad place to be with the issues that are going on in the NFC.
And point of note to what your comment about special teams, you're totally right. I will say this. On one hand, it sucks getting red zone drive killed after again and again. But on the other hand, it feels good to have a field goal kicker that I feel like he is as good as anybody in the league. He is just a reliable young hope. He is my guy, man. That's probably one of my favorite players right now.
Let me tell you, our red zone efficiency has picked up and is very well. We did have that one disappointing trip into the red zone, but it wasn't deep red zone, and we scored on all the rest of our red zone. We were 3 out of 4 on red zone trips, so that was impressive. And Arthur Smith can coach the heck out of some red zone. And
yeah. I mean, it's still early, but we'll see. Yeah.
Well,
but we got to make sure before we go, we got to give some love to our Braves, man.
Man, I am excited about the Braves. You hope to come out of Milwaukee with the split. They win today. They're up 2-1. Looks like tomorrow's going to be a bullpen game.
I was going to ask you who you think's pitching tomorrow. Who's pitching tomorrow?
I think we're going to start off with Noah. And if he's going good. If he's going good, let's let him go. If he starts getting anything, you got to have a quick hook on him. You got to have a quick hook on him. And that's kind of, if we move on, that game 4 is going to be our challenge. Like, but Noah is a very streaky pitcher. He has dominant stuff. He just doesn't have a lot of pitches. He really is probably a closer. And so, but in the postseason, you can get away with pitchers with less stuff because as it gets colder, it's hard to get to those fastballs. And he can get up there at 97, 98. If we can close this out, this would allow us to set our bullpen, our pitching up, because I think that Dodgers-Giants series goes the full 5 games.
I think so.
And because the Dodgers had to play in their play-in and use Scherzer, they're not on the right schedule.
No, they're not.
That's the disadvantage of because you have to use your ace, and so Scherzer is going to have to pitch in Game 4, which is going to keep him from coming back. It's going to throw them off so that we have Morton going against their second guy, and then so it could be to our advantage if things work out that way.
So you sound like you're pretty confident in us taking care of business tomorrow night.
If not tomorrow night, Game 4, I think we just have the advantage. They came in with pitching being their main thing, and their bats are cold. We got all 3 of our pitchers from both sides are power pitchers. We have all power pitchers. They have power pitchers too, but we beat them 2 out of the 3. So that shakes the confidence of a team. Like Chicago, they came back against the Astros because they're not built on pitching. They're built on hitting. So they wouldn't be shaken no matter who loses or wins. Their pitchers haven't had a decision in a series. But that's what Milwaukee was banking on. Yeah. Now they're like, we don't know. So, you don't want to give their bats a chance to wake up. We did well in closeout games last year. So, and our bullpen has set up perfectly. Will Smith, not just in the series, but down the stretch, looked much better. So I'm excited. I hope we can close it out because I think that Dodgers and Giants series, they're going to mess up the rotation for whoever comes out of that series.
So we got a chance. Okay, awesome, man. I feel good about our chance tomorrow too, but I'm not worried about it if we win or lose because I feel like they're not going to beat us twice in a row. If we don't win tomorrow, we'll definitely come back into Milwaukee and take care of business. I might sneak through, see if I can get some tickets out there.
And I mean, the Red Sox eliminated the Rays, who I thought was the team that I didn't want as a Braves fan to have to play. And then the Astros and White Sox game was postponed. So the Dodgers are playing the Giants in a pitching duel tonight and a pitching duel series. So that's kind of your playoff update coming out of the weekend where we fit in. We hope to find ourselves in the NLCS again, which would be great.
Well, we Dat Nation, we thank you so much once again for joining us. Man, I know it's real late out there, but we appreciate you guys hanging in with us. For the professor and myself, once again, we will see you the same time, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We'll be back to 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. No, I'm sorry, Eastern Standard Time, correct? On Thursday. And you know what? I'm trying to think of this. There's something else I'm missing, Jamie. Will you be here or will you be in
No, we'll be here. I'll be here.
Okay, good to go. Okay, so for myself and Professor Billingsley, we want to say thank you. Peace up. 8-Town down.